Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and I appreciate everyone who's reached out regarding my video where I talked about that I might have to sell off my collection. And I just wanted to answer a couple of questions and respond to some suggestions. So, first off, the reason for selling the collection, if I do wind up selling off the collection, is purely because I do not want to have to travel or move with this many games. Has nothing to do with falling on hard times or anything like that. But I do appreciate everyone wishing me the best. I'll still take the well wishes regardless. But no, I haven't fallen on hard times or anything. It's just really difficult to move this many games with you when you're changing locations. And I only know because it was a huge process when I had to move my video games from the game room that I'm in now. And when I moved them up to the attic for a while, that move was crazy. I wound up, when I boxed everything up, it wound up coming out to like, I don't know, 30 boxes of games. And so if you're thinking about moving to a new location, you don't want to add 30 boxes of video games on top of the necessities like clothing, furniture, bedding, rugs, toiletries, pots, pans, kitchen essentials. You have so many other things that you have to move when you're in the process of moving that adding a ton of video games on top of it just doesn't seem like the easiest thing to do. Now, I've also gotten some suggestions on what I should keep, what I should sell. Some have suggested that I sell all of my retro stuff and, emulate that stuff and keep the modern stuff. Some have, said that they would keep, the rare stuff. If I did wind up selling the collection, I probably would keep a lot of the harder to find games. That probably would be my main priority. And then anything that I'm like really attached to, I really am attached to my Dreamcast collection because that was a big console for me in high school. I'm really attached to my import Sega Saturn shoot 'em up collection. That means a lot to me. My Sega CD, my Sega Saturn, some of my PlayStation 1 collection. I'm not going to say all, but some of my PlayStation 1 collection I do have strong ties to. That would probably be the segment of my collection that I'm like most attached to, like the Dreamcast, the Saturn, the Sega CD, the PS1, the PS2. From there, it's kind of like the GameCube is important to me, but it's not super important to me. Same thing with the 360 and PlayStation 3. I'm not married to those parts of my collection. I know a lot of you have mentioned that you would love the opportunity to buy some of the games out of my collection. Maybe I'll do that. I may do something like that. Maybe I'll do, again, this is if I go through with this. And a lot of this move is based on a career opportunity. So just to clarify, a lot of this is really going to be based on a career opportunity that would have me move. So if that does happen, I have no problem maybe doing a whatnot to where I can, do something direct to the subscribers of the channel if you guys are interested. Like I said, if I can help it, I won't sell anything, to be quite honest with you. But we'll see. I've never really liked selling like my games from my channel. I've just never really liked that. But a lot of you have asked me to do it. So that would be the only reason why I would consider it, is because you, the viewers, have asked for that. So it's something that I may consider. That. Aside from that, I did post a video earlier today talking about the LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith situation, and I've got a lot of feedback on that, and I've actually been responding. I will respond to the basketball related videos just because I know not as many subscribers really care about that, and I'm not gonna get a ton of comments on that. And so it's a little bit easier and more manageable to kind of have those basketball debates, and I've gotten a lot of feedback. And it's so funny. I think LeBron James is probably one of the most polarizing sports figures that I've ever seen. Either you really don't like him or you really do like him. I'm not really seeing a lot of people in the middle. I tend not to see a lot of people who are neutral. A lot of people, um, you know, think he's a prima donna. Some people call him a narcissist. This, that, and the third. I do think that there are characteristics about LeBron that I just wish he didn't have, right? Like there are just certain things about him that I think hurts him a lot of times. But I also know that LeBron has grown up in a time where the general public is closer to him than ever thanks to social media. That's part one. And part two, more average Joes, more everyday people are able to build platforms where they're able to voice their opinions about LeBron, proliferate those opinions, and then influence others. These things were not around during the time of Magic and Bird and Jordan. They never really had that stuff. So even if there was a group of people who felt a certain way about Jordan in the 90s, they never had an outlet as wide with as much breadth and depth that we have today to voice those opinions. And so a lot of what you see about Jordan, um, you know, and really just a lot of people from that era is just kind of left up to the people who grew up in that era. And most people who grew up in that era revered and idolized Jordan. He will always be their GOAT. He is immortalized in their eyes. And I'm going to be the first to say that um, I do think that when it comes to pure basketball skill, like the skills of being a basketball player, I do think that Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. Whether you want to attribute that to his mentality, his fierce competitiveness. Obviously, he was an athletic freak, and he was fortunate to be a part of an organization that gave him the role of scoring the basketball, and that was accompanied by the fact that he was probably the best. Some might argue KD is better, but he might have been the best pure scorer of the basketball. So when you've been assigned to do the thing that you are best at, it's the perfect recipe for you to super achieve in that thing. Um, so I do feel like skill for skill, Jordan is better. I do think, though, in terms of all around greatness, in terms of the greatness of the career, I do think that LeBron James has had a better overall career. His legacy, in my opinion, when it's all said and done, will be greater than Jordan's. Not just because of all of the records and the titles and things like that, because you know obviously, I think at this point, LeBron will never be 6-0 in the finals. So that's not even something for him to chase. But I think in terms of legacy, his legacy is going to be greater. His legacy as an NBA player who was able to play through three different eras, to last as long as he has lasted, to do what he's done in the league. Um, his legacy as a businessman, which in my opinion will vastly surpass Michael Jordan's abilities as a businessman. I think LeBron is already, I mean, he just might pass Jordan from a business standpoint. He might pass him before he retires. So as a business person, I think he's going to eclipse Michael Jordan. Um, as a and this is going to be subjective, right? Some people are going to feel a way about this, but in terms of his legacy as a father, I think he's smoked Michael Jordan by far in terms of setting the example of what a father and a husband should look like, in terms of keeping your family together, maintaining a household, showing what a good partnership looks like if you're into that. Some people don't care about having a wife, some people don't care about having children. So that's why I say it's you know, it that this part is subjective. But the majority of people in our country and across the world, the majority still believe in family. They still believe in mom, dad, kids. So from that standpoint, I think he absolutely destroys Jordan. It's not even a comparison when you start to talk about his role as a father, um, you know, his ability to play with his son. You know, a lot of people forget that one of Michael Jordan's sons did attempt to play basketball, did attempt to play in the league, and he was by far worse than Bronny ever was, right? He didn't even get to where Bronny is now. And I'm not saying Bronny is the second coming of LeBron, but I will say that in terms of what LeBron has been able to do with his legacy, with his children, with his family, he blows Michael Jordan out the water. I think the only area that Michael Jordan supersedes LeBron is his ability and skill as a pure basketball player to lead his teams to being 6-0 in the finals. And I could even argue that that's a little bit circumstantial because Jordan had the benefit of playing in an organization that had good leadership. Jerry Krause had good coaching, and Jordan had a good support system to win those championships, which is why even when you watch The Last Dance, Jordan himself, he had to ask he had to put all those pieces back together. That's why it's called The Last Dance. Like, let's do it one more time. Jordan knew he needed all those pieces to make those championships happen again. He needed a Pippen. And I know a lot of people like to crap on Pippen, but Jordan never won until Pippen got there. He didn't win. He was never able to elevate those teams to where they were until he got a Scottie Pippen. And this isn't to take away anything from Jordan, but it's not like Jordan did it by himself. So, but again, I will give him that. If you want to say he's the GOAT in terms of being, skill, sure. But I think in every other category, you know, LeBron's legacy when he's done. Because remember, we're talking about a guy who's still playing. We're talking about a guy who still has a strong possibility of winning a championship this year at 40. Like, LeBron can still do that. In fact, he could do that next year because he's probably going to play next year. Who knows? He might play with his second son. He might be the first dude to play in the league and have two sons playing with him in the league. We're in uncharted waters right now when it comes to LeBron, and we make the argument between him and Jordan as though he's retired. That's why it's like, to me, it's a dumb argument because this guy's not even done yet. So we don't even know where his story will end. And the last thing I'll say is this: to discount LeBron's accomplishments because he's done them over a 22-year span is stupid. That's dumb. How can you penalize someone for being great for 22 years? Like, how can you penalize a person for being great for 22 years? He's been great for 22 years. We don't know what Jordan would have looked like if he played for 22 years. He might have went 6-10 in the finals. We don't know what Jordan would have looked like because Jordan never made it to the finals his first, I don't know, however many years in the league. And a lot of people try to discount his accomplishments because of the time frame in which he did it. LeBron has shown sustained greatness over 22 years. And despite how you feel about him, you can't take that away from him. Facts are facts. Look at his numbers, look at his averages. You could call him the stat pad. You could call him the whatever you want to call him. Many have tried to do it, but few have done it as well as he has. So, it's very interesting. I just like to argue. Sometimes I like to argue in favor of LeBron just because it's fun. And it's just so interesting to see the visceral reaction that people have against him. And a lot of times when you ask people why they don't like him, it's never really based on anything factual. It's based on a lot of hyperbole, anecdotal, personal preference type stuff there's really no facts in it. If you want to hate a guy because he lost to the Mavericks in 2011, well, okay, you can do that. But I rarely ever hear someone give me something factual, about LeBron that, makes him this horrible guy that people say he is. But if you have something, please put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I'm interested to know. That does it for me, though. It's the Y2K Collector giving you a quick update. Hopefully you're having a great weekend, or week rather. It's Thursday. We're almost out of here. Week's almost done. And we'll see what the weekend brings. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.